Character Creation Part 4, Name and Personality. Hello again, and welcome to another character creation chat. I'm Gail. Well, unless I'm GB. Might even be Abby. All depends, but what's really in a name, right? Well, actually, there's quite a lot. I use different names because I don't want people who read my gentler steampunk works getting confused with my much grittier crime works. They are not targeted at the same audience. Giving a character a name is the point where a lot of people start with character creation, and that's just fine. You can start anywhere with character creation, you just need to start. Find that first hook on which to hang the rest. Sometimes a character's name will come to you straight off and it will be perfect. But if you happen to be struggling with what to call your character, there are lots of places to go to find help. The most obvious one is a baby name book or a baby name listing on the internet. Or just watch TV and pick something that scrolls past on the credits. There are many programs that also include name creators. That includes Scrivener, if you should happen to use that system. Or you can just do an internet search on name generator and have a look at the sites that offers up. A lot of name generators will actually allow you to add parameters that will narrow the type of names they supply to you. Things like gender, ethnicity, genre. Play about with them. These are random generators. You might find the perfect name on the first screen or the fourth or the fifth or even the 20th iteration, but you won't know until you look. Just make a note of anything you think might be workable as it goes past, as it's unlikely to appear again. These are random, remember. Also think about where names come from. Williams indicates that somewhere down the line the family was one of William the Conqueror's men as they came over to England. My maiden name is Hansen, which suggests that at some point it was a son of Rhan, or more likely Johann, that's got changed over the years. Many of the names in the UK are old job descriptions: Thatcher, Cooper, Wainwright. Some names also come from places: Broughton, Winchester, Essex. This isn't just true of British names, but names all over the world. So again, it's worth considering where people come from. Consider the way that different cultures name differently. In Iceland, for example, the family name will actually depend on the father. They will be the son or daughter, dottir, of. The only example I can actually pronounce with any certainty is Magnus Magnusson, and I don't want to insult anyone from Iceland. Here in the West, we tend to also put the family name second. In the East, they put the family name first. So it is, again, worth checking the ethnicity and the traditions of the people that you're writing about. Just because a person is from one country doesn't actually mean that that's the same country their name will come from. There's always been a lot of international travel and migration, so don't necessarily restrict yourself to name choices. There are a lot of Italian names here in the Welsh Valleys, for example, and in London it's one of the greatest mixing pots of community in the whole world. Names there can literally come from anywhere. It is worth checking names for ethnicity and meaning. That won't always be relevant to you or your story, but I once wrote a book all about werewolves, and every name in it had a name relating to the word wolf. It's worth considering as well the family here. Do they traditionally pass down names through the generation? Is there a senior and a junior, or the third, or whatever? It's also worth considering nominal determination. This is where a name determines the way that a person lives. So a Mr. Bird, for example, might be a vet, a Mr. Bun a baker. Names can affect personalities, so consider what effect that could have. My name is Gail. I have never liked this name, even though I've never changed it. It rhymes with lots of negatives words, and I was actually called all manner of things in school, and that's fed into my own personality. Not all effects are good. If somebody's got a name that others can take the mick out of, remember, children can be really cruel on these things. So that will, again, have an effect on your character. When looking at personality, remember what role your character has in the book. That may affect the personality you need to give them. Personality will feed the way that a person behaves. The dedicated will work on, push through long hours. At what will depend on what they're dedicated to. Some personalities are just bigger than others. They might be loud, they might love people, they might want to be the centre of attention or in the thick of things. Others will be quiet and private and dislike attention. If the first here is the only child and the second from the boisterous family that I mentioned in previous sessions, then you can see how they will behave differently. when faced with a new, boisterous family. Remember that personality may also affect physicality and appearance. Frowns, lip pursing, smoking, squinting, all these things will affect appearance. I spend a lot of time in front of computer screens and have for years. As a result, I'm more hunched than I would like to be. I wear glasses because I've developed problems with my eyes. Sometimes I have to rely on voice control because I have RSI and get terrible pains down my arm when I write or type. But because I need to write, it spurs me on regardless. I put up with that pain. Consider what it is that motivates your character. If you're writing a romance, love has to be a motivator somewhere along the line. But will those feelings be welcomed? How will the affection be acted upon or not? If you're writing a crime novel, think about why people commit crime. Is it greed or envy? Are they passionate about something, either love or hate? Why did they do what they do? And that same question should be asked regardless of the genre you're writing. Why do people do what they do? Figure out how the character is going to justify their own actions, as that will almost certainly relate to what motivates them. Oh, and remember that they will justify their actions depending on how good or bad other people might judge them. Personality will also affect how we view the world. Everybody sees things differently. All experiences are run through the filter of our own personal perceptions. This is why no two eyewitness accounts are ever exactly the same. It's why divorcing couples will give different reasons for their breakup. Perceptions will change with every person and every personality. A black male soldier will react very differently to a white female civilian when they're put under stress. An extrovert may actually enjoy being the centre of attention. An introvert might have to just suffer through it. Look at personality traits. There are plenty of sites on the internet that can walk you through them. And there's a good chance you already know more than you realise. You'll know people who are friendly or shy, hardworking or lazy, optimistic or pessimistic, self-reliant or needy. None of these traits are wrong. They are just different. There are hundreds of ways to define personality, so it is actually worth taking some time to work out what your character's personality is. It's also worth remembering that humans can be mercurial. We don't always react the way that we are expected to. Past behaviour is no guarantee of future behaviour. People might actually act uncharacteristically. The considerate may suddenly become thoughtless. The honest might lie. The liar can tell the truth. The driven may become unfocused. The coward may act bravely. People can surprise you, but there's usually a reason for it. Also, character flaws are allowed. Nobody is perfect. You also may not necessarily get the same thing from the same person for the same reason. Consider two people giving charitable gifts. Are they both really being generous, or is one trying to make a tax write-off? Are they doing this because they expect a reward? Do they want the praise? Do they expect to be spoken well of? Or is it something that they expect their reward only in heaven? People always act in their own best interest. How they act will all depend on what they consider the payoff. The God-fearing may receive no benefit in this life, but act in such a way as they believe will bring them benefit in the next life. And that's a motivation that may seem incomprehensible to many because they don't share that same view. It doesn't, however, make it wrong. Look at what the hopes and fears are for your character. How will that reflect in the purpose of the character? What their role is within the story? Personality may also reflect the character's achievements and accomplishments, even their failures, because we only try the things that we want to try. We only fail at the things that we want to do. Even talents will reflect the person inside. Most importantly, personality will affect how characters interact with each other as well as the situations they face. A hothead will react one way and probably instantly. The more thoughtful will behave in a different way and it will probably be slightly slower. Someone who's suffered past violence will react differently to a sudden move than somebody who's only ever known safety. One who's been discriminated against will be more sensitive to a potential slight. Personality will also show in other ways. The way that we present ourselves, for example, the way we style our hair or not, the wearing of makeup, and no, it's not just for women, and the way we dress. Look at how personality is reflected in the things that we surround ourselves with, our homes, our cars, any other visual indications. If you walk into my house, you're going to have to work really hard not to notice how many bookcases and books I have around. That's an indication of how much I enjoy writing and reading. Somebody who doesn't enjoy writing or reading won't live this way. Also consider the way that things are habitually done and how that will affect somebody. Habitual fast food eaters will look different to somebody who only eats a raw food diet. Smokers will look different from non-smokers. Drinkers will look different to non-drinkers. Think about the way that a person's wealth, or lack thereof, will also affect how they are, how they dress, where they go. Most importantly, you need to know the personality, and it will help you by listing words on a sheet of paper, but you don't have to put those words into a story. Demonstrate the character's personality by their actions. Well, that's covered an awful lot of ground in one quick session, and there's an awful lot more to personality if you want to go and study it. There's lots of online resources, there's whole magazines dedicated to it, or go and ask your local friendly librarian. They're sure to point you in the right direction. So, thank you for joining me again, and I hope to see you again soon. Goodbye.